Welcome, friends, to the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour with your hosts Sig Bisley and Colt Mauser. Before we get started, please be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content just like this. Now, let the animation appreciation commence.
Okay, so every single top 10 anime movies list I've ever read, Wings of Honneamize is like 3 to 5. So we finally watched it, and it was like a negative 10.
Spoiler, yeah, those lists are wrong.
Fucking garbage.
Well, it's top 10 for animation maybe, but other than that.
It's like dating a really attractive woman that's boring and won't shut up.
Yeah,
Basically.
that's about it.
Extremely pretty, but please God.
With a side of
Stop
unlikable
talking.
characters.
Yeah, it was like, I was shocked at how like crappily thrown together it was.
Yep.
Animated amazing, though. Like, just gorgeous animation. So anyway, we'll get into that. Read some more comics. We'll get into that.
I mean, Miyazaki and Oshii liked it, so that should tell you something.
Man, that's interesting. I gotta, like, digest that. Miyazaki. I can see why Miyazaki would have liked it, because it's very Miyazaki.
Oh, it's very Oshii,
Except
too.
it's a pointless story. But yeah, it is kind of a pointless Oshii story, too.
Yep.
So that makes perfect sense, now that you mention it. Anyway, bunch of anime we watched this week. I don't know if we'll have time. Actually, we won't. I'll save that till next week. I finally finished Bastard, but
Oh, yeah, I finally finished 86. So
yeah, well, if we have time, we probably won't though. Maybe we'll get to that next week. But before any of that nonsense, the news.
So, before we get to the news, we also, I don't know if you brought up Inglorious Rex.
I said we read some comics.
Yep, we're going to talk about that. All right. I'm just specifying because you say comics, people are going to run screaming like, oh, God, they read about gay Superman again.
No.
Anyway. All right. So, the news. We're going to start off with some freaking baller-ass news right here.
It's ballin'.
Toho, everyone's assuming it's a movie, is doing a new Godzilla movie coming out next year, directed by Takashi Yamazaki, who did Lupin the First.
Really?
Lupin the First. The
CG one.
The CG one that we watched, which is freaking awesome. So,
I'm intrigued. I'm pretty excited for that. Actually.
No idea what that's going to look like. No idea what it's going to be like. No
I'm
idea what
pretty
it's going to be about.
starved for Godzilla content anyway.
Yeah, and
it used to be like a movie a year, movie every 2 years, whatever.
I like the silly American ones, don't get me wrong, but there's something to be said about
for some OG.
Yeah, some Japanese-style Godzilla, even when it's terrible. So we'll hear more about it soon, hopefully, but they just had their Godzilla Day.
Some of the most terrible ones are my favorites.
And this is supposed to be coming out November 3rd next year, so hopefully we'll get some more info as we get closer to that date.
I imagine we will.
But new Godzilla, man. Get hype. Get hype. All right, so now moving into the video game and remake territory. Front Mission First, so the first Front Mission game, is getting, is it yet another remake? I guess the other one wasn't a remake. So it came out on, I want to say, the Super Nintendo, or the Super Famicom, I really should say. Yeah, Super Famicom, and the second one came out on PlayStation, because the first one was not. So the Super Famicom, the original came out on, there was also a port to the it was either, I think it was the DS. I don't think it was the Game Boy Advance. I think it was the DS.
Yeah, it was the DS.
But now there's a remake coming out. It's going to be out on the Switch, and they finally, and we've talked about it before, but they finally announced the release date, which is November 30th. So, I mean, I think that's good news.
Christmas.
It's a pretty cool game. I mean, it's very old, but we'll see if the remake, does some quality of life stuff, makes it a little easier. Well, I shouldn't say easier. Easier to live with, I suppose is the thing, because the original is, it's not bad. I don't know. I liked it. But, my problem with Front Mission games, because I've played, I think 4 was the first one I played. I never got into them enough to, stick with them.
Yeah.
I played them a little bit, and then I never stick with them.
There was a lot of games like that back then, where you're just like, I want to play the next game.
Yeah, it's just, they're good, but they're just kind of dry. I don't know. We'll see. But they're very good. They're very highly regarded. And they actually are, they're well-made games. So it's good to see the remake coming out. And like I said, November 30th, you'll be able to get it for the Switch. Another thing coming out, NIS America, so NIS, they do all the, or at least over here, they release all the Disgaea games. and all the Disgaea related games.
Mm.
So they got some releases coming out here on the PlayStation 4, 5, Switch, and PC on Steam. So not on the X-Brick. R-Type Tactics 1 and 2.
R-Type.
It's a turn-based shoot 'em up, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. R-Type's pretty cool. I'm interested in trying these out. There's also R-Type Final 3 Evolved coming out, which that looks more shooterish.
That's a hell of a title.
R-Type Final 3 Evolved.
Just keep adding words.
That was really shooter. That's coming out for the PS5 next year. But the R-Type Tactics 1 and 2 will be out spring 2023. Wait, no. It doesn't really say. They'll probably be out around the same time because they're all in the same article here I'm reading. So, yeah, if you're into those kind of old school shooters, looks like you can have an entry in that. And if you like tactics games, I don't know, R-Type's some interesting kind of subject matter to do that. So, check it out. I'll probably check it out a little bit. Hopefully it's on that. I don't even know if it's PlayStation Plus anymore. PlayStation whatever. The one that gives you free games every month.
Give me free games.
Well, it's like a game subscription service, which for games I don't mind that as much.
No, give me that for free.
Well, you got to pay a monthly thing. But yes, I understand. So, yeah. Check that out when it comes out early next year. All right, so manga news. Kazuhisa Kondo, who did a pretty well-regarded adaptation of Original Gundam. So not Gundam the Origin, the other manga adaptation of Original
the older
Gundam.
One, yeah.
Right? He's going to start a new Mobile Suit Gundam 0079 episode Luna 2 manga. And it's going to tell an untold story from his manga. So I guess like a side story or
that's pretty cool.
Whatever.
So
that's pretty cool. I mean, that many years after the fact.
I'm such a sucker for one-year war stories. I'll just go on forever.
Yeah, I mean, the original one was 12 volumes. Parts of it came out over here, but I don't think it was ever fully released in the U.S. I don't know if they ever fully translated.
No, I don't think they did.
Kondo's manga. I remember there were volumes of it out, but I don't think the whole thing is out. In the original, let's see, the original one came out, a long time ago, like in the 80s originally, but was released over here in, I want to say the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. So anyway, it's just cool. It's cool to see him going back and adding some side stories, doing some other stuff. I haven't read it myself. I've thumbed through it in the bookstore years ago. And it looked cool, but it was very, I'm not going to say a vanilla adaptation. It's not. It's got its charm, but I think Gundam the Origin really overshadowed it.
Yeah, because they dug way deeper into stuff.
Yeah, so anyway, just something to check out when it comes out again. And I don't know, I'm always a little stoked for new Gundam manga, regardless of whether it's super exciting on its own or not.
Super exciting.
Especially from, such an old school legend as Kondo.
Right.
All right. Well, now we're going to talk about some... this is less strange merchandise. It's just cool merchandise. So Uzumaki, which is a Junji Ito property. It was a manga that ran from 98 to 99. And it's been collected, and you can get I think it's one big fat volume over here now.
Yeah, it's one of those omnibus.
One big hardcovers, yeah.
One of those impossible to read super fatties.
So apparently there is an anime adaptation that's going to come out at some point, which I don't think is part of the other Junji Ito one.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's the same. But anyway, Culture Fly has bought some kind of merchandise rights and is releasing on Viz Media's online store a bunch of apparel. So shirts and
that's funny.
That kind of stuff. The button-up shirt I'm looking at is really awesome. It's like a purple button-up shirt with all kinds of crazy, scary faces in it, all over print, faces. Which is pretty classic. So yeah. Anyway, Uzumaki related stuff. So Junji Ito is cool. We always talk about Junji Ito. Any apparel related to Junji Ito is kind of cool. So you may want to go check this out. Apparently there's headwear too, so maybe there's some cool hats. I'm going to have to go check that out.
Yeah, I'd be a sucker for a cool hat.
It's at the Viz Media Store, which is the U.S. store, I believe. And let's see if it's live. Yes, it is. So, yep, there is a kind of awesome hat with eyes right on the front.
Oh, that's cool.
Hoodies, your various shirts, et cetera, et cetera. So go check that out. There's even socks. So if you're into that kind of thing, go check it out. It's all fairly reasonably priced comparatively. So do a little shilling for it.
Why not?
All right. Now I got another piece of merchandise y'all freaking degenerates out there might want. So we'll talk about it later, but we just watched the latest episode of Chainsaw Man where, Denji's quest for touching boobs
reaches its
reaching
penultimate climax.
Yeah, I was just about to reach its conclusion. So apparently, let's see, Shibuya Scramble figure. So that's the company, I suppose, that's putting out a figure, so a dirty figure, of course, of her sitting on the toilet with her grabbing her single titty, enticing you to grab it. Now, this was a little more disturbing because she's actually, the seat's up and not down. The seat was definitely down in the anime.
Yeah, it was. Because she sat back down after she'd already stood up.
So if you don't know enough about Chainsaw Man, Power is what do they call it? Is she a fiend? She's a dead person that got taken over by a demon, or a person got taken over by a demon then died. Whatever, it doesn't matter. She's now just a demon inhabiting a meat suit. And, she's got a fairly dirty character design.
Oh, yeah.
And she likes to run around naked all the time. And, she kind of doesn't care about human values.
No.
At all.
She cares about drinking their blood, and that's basically it.
So, yeah. If you degenerates are into a hot demon girl on a toilet squishing her boob at you.
That's a pretty cool figure, though.
You can go get that. It will be 29,000 yen, which back in the day, be like, oh my God, $300, but the yen ain't worth shit anymore. So $200 nowadays. It's really bad, people. Anyway, you can go check that out. Like I said, there's a pre-order. I don't know if it's got to be at resellers all over the place, but Shibuya Scramble figure, who I've never heard of, is the retailer if you're looking for it.
I love figures with other stuff in them where it's like almost a diorama. You know what I mean?
I'll never forgive myself for not buying the train car booth that you could go with.
Fucking Deno?
That you could go with Momotaro's.
Yes, so
it was just a booth.
That's so cool.
That you could buy for the Momotaro's figure, which I have the Momotaro's figure, and he's got the little cup, his little teacup, and all that stuff, but I didn't buy the damn train booth, so shame on me. I should have bought it. Man, so he could sit there and be Momotaro's.
Man, he's always at a climax.
Ore Sanju. You gotta love Momotaro's.
He has arrived.
That's the best. Anyway.
Best character in that show. Moving
on. We are away from merchandise news and onto a little bit of media news, I suppose. So Anime News Network, where we obviously get a lot of our news, and I think a lot of people get a lot of the news in the West because not a lot of other sites do a great job of reporting on anime. I mean, there's a lot of sites that whine about certain things, but Anime News Network definitely has a slant, but they're not. They can report on a lot of stuff.
News-wise, they're not obnoxious. Review-wise, they're fucking abysmal.
Yeah, they can get it. They can get bad. It depends on the reviewer.
Oh my God, the whining.
Yeah.
Let's cut every offensive thing out of anime because it's culturally inappropriate. Yeah. Like, no.
Oh, we'll be talking about that in a minute. I got one more story after this. So, Kodokawa has bought Anime News Network. That's a little strange, but
I don't know if that's better or worse.
I don't know. So, Anime News Network, of course, can say we're going to be independent. And our editorial independence is contractually guaranteed. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, there will definitely be some kind of undue influence. I am.
It's called Lawyer Shorty.
Yeah, listen, man. When they control the purse strings, I get that they're going to want to keep the appearance of independence, but they will never truly be independent again on Kodokawa related stuff.
No. Which I don't
believe it.
Give a shit that much.
I don't.
If they're gonna unduly shill Kodokawa stuff, it's not that big a deal.
Well, it doesn't Kodokawa own goddamn everything anyway.
Yeah, they kind of do.
But maybe it's a good thing. Maybe, I don't know. Becoming part of a conglomerate, maybe they'll get more money to do some stuff. But Do I really want them doing more stuff? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I suppose I don't really care
Wouldn't
all
it
that
be
much.
better if a Japanese company owned it?
Yes, but
I hope they fire all those fucking idiots.
it's Kodokawa World Entertainment, a U.S.-based subsidiary
okay.
of Kodokawa.
That's completely different. Yeah, that probably sucks.
That's a problem, right? Because
U.S.-based subsidiary of anything sucks a fat one.
That's the problem, right? So
A fat, unwashed hog.
So it's, it's things like this are inevitable. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in the years to come. I suppose keep an eye out and we'll keep reporting on it as long as we're doing any sort of podcasting. But, it's a bit of a shakeup because, again, a lot of news
flows
out of it.
It's probably the biggest one, right?
Yeah, I mean,
U.S.-based anyway.
If you want to go surf the seas of 4chan, you can get all your news, but it's not as convenient. Probably more real, though.
Sift through a lot of shite.
Probably more real.
A lot of dank memes.
Anyway. Or, learn to moon rune, and then it won't be a problem.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on to the last story. You want to talk about idiocy and woke nonsense.
I don't really, but
and
if
everything
I have
else.
To.
So, Yuki Matsuzaki has stepped into a giant pile of shit. So Yuki Matsuzaki is a Japanese seiyuu voice actor, whatever, but does a lot of voices for the West too. Has been in Ninja Turtles. I think he's done stuff for, was it maybe Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, Letters to Iwo Jima. Like, he's starred live action and stuff.
Yeah.
And
he's an actual actor.
He's done voice acting as well for the West, for, English language stuff, Yep. So you could see how there's probably a Hollywood influence here. So he stepped in it by saying that live action manga adaptations need to update source materials to align with modern values.
That's the key word, everybody.
Which is a code.
Modern values is the code word for shit.
It's a code word for shit. And he primarily focuses on Golden Kamuy, which is.
That's like the best. That needs to be untouched more than. Actually, I don't care about live adaptations anyway.
Well, no, but this isn't live adaptation. He's saying that anime adaptations of manga need to conform to modern values. He's not talking about live action.
But it's a period piece with wacky shit in it. What, no Dick Sensei? No, like a million dick jokes that are hilarious?
God, we'll talk about that. This latest episode is nothing but dick jokes.
Oh my God, it's fucking hilarious.
It's hilarious, right? And this is his most retarded take, because he just retweeted this. He said this in 2018, that a Sherpa had to be played by an Ainu, an actual Ainu. So I got some statistics for you on the Ainu.
Yeah, aren't there like literally 5 of them left?
So, the official estimate, so this is Wikipedia, so who knows, but the official estimate from Japan is there's 25,000 Ainu left. There might be more. There might be up to 200,000, but a lot of them don't even know. And pure Ainu, as of 2000, only about 300 people.
Yeah.
And there's only about 100 native speakers. So, where the fuck is he going to find this mythical Ainu voice actress to do this role?
You're not. It's like how they...
It doesn't make any sense.
It's like how they conscript African American people to be in fucking movies and commercials because they're like not enough actors.
This is a ridiculous take, right? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's full of Hollywood stupidity. Then he talks about how somehow Golden Kamuy of all things, is filled with homophobia and transphobia.
It's the gayest thing on earth.
Pretty much at all times.
Okay.
Did you not watch that?
Wait. Reverse. Put the bus in reverse. Beat just for a second. Like,
was it the seal liver? Whatever that episode was. Where they're all in the hothouse.
Yeah, like they're all the characters hilariously gay. So not really, but like they all do wicked gay shit and it's hilarious.
Stenka and the Stenku.
Yeah, but I do not understand. They're all talking about each other's dicks every 5 minutes too, which is fucking hilarious.
Yep.
But the trans thing, there's nothing trans anything about any of that really.
There was
there a guy dressing like a woman?
There was. That happens. Well, in the latest episode, they do the hilarious, like, just men playing women because they don't have women around to play the women in, like, a Sherpa's ridiculous stories.
I don't see how you can stretch and make that.
No, you cannot.
That's been done in cultures for years, though.
Oh, and it's a prejudiced minority image of the Ainu. I think they treat the Ainu with a lot of respect.
Yeah, they make them seem
Golden
badass,
Kamuy, right? And they really do address, like, their history was, it's tough. Like,
Oh yeah.
they're basically fading out of existence, and there's that existential crisis of your tradition's dying and your people disappearing.
Well, we'll get into that because that was that whole last episode.
Because a lot of they just integrate. They got integrated forcefully or unforcefully into Japanese and Russian society.
Yep.
Yeah,
they don't have like reservations or anything.
So when he talks
Not
about
that those are great here, but like they don't have any of their like native lands.
So he talks about in the manga like this Yakuza couple, which I don't remember if they've been in the anime yet, but they're being, they're the butt of the joke. This gay couple, they're the butt of the, like, everybody's the butt of the joke in Golden Kamuy. Everybody at all times. Sarumi is supposed to be the big bad villain, and he's the butt of the joke all the time.
Yeah, like everybody is. It's like The Simpsons in that way. You know what I mean?
It is equal opportunity in making fun of everybody.
Whatever. We're analyzing this too much. It's just like you step foot in Hollywood for 30 seconds and like you're spouting that shit.
So he got ratioed to death and got piled on by Japanese media, Japanese people, because they are not into these ridiculous takes.
Yeah, just shut the fuck up. God.
They hate the idea of forcing it to be an Ainu. Like, of course, Japan. So do you think Japan was going to side with you with, it needs to be this has always been stupid. It needs to be the person who's representing it needs to be of the same ethnic origin or race or whatever of the character, like in Japan.
Yeah, like they don't have those.
Like where their voice actors are 99% Japanese and their characters are not 99% Japanese.
Not at all.
So how the fuck is that going to work, you absolute moron?
You're just going to have to start importing people.
Yeah, because there's just so many people that speak Japanese outside of Japan.
Doesn't he know that, like, that shit's almost dead and he should just cut and run?
And he's talking about minority representation. Like, Japan has no minority representation in media. Yeah, Japan's damn near a monoculture, fool.
And they should be. God, everything's such a shit show here because everyone has to, like, jump on the fucking
It's so dumb.
oppression parade.
I got the hot take of the week. Oh, wait, it's not a hot take. Someone has to explain to me why diversity is automatically our strength. Because that's a goddamn 1984 line if I've ever heard one. Like,
yeah, right.
Explain it to me. I'm not saying no one should be unfairly excluded from things just because of some innate characteristics.
And you also shouldn't be given things you don't deserve because of some innate characteristics.
Correct. That is the corollary, and they both apply. And diversity for diversity's sake is just fucking dumb. And it's especially dumb when you're talking about voice actors for Japanese freaking anime.
Yeah, how that ever got to be a thing, like a voice actor? Like, maybe some white guy sounds real black. Maybe some black guy sounds like the whitest white guy. Like, just let him do their thing. You know what I mean?
Representation matters. This guy is just a moron.
He's probably just trying to get work. Even though Hollywood's just dead. It's like a festering pile. Things are starting to turn around, though, because there's a lot of good shit out to watch right now.
There is. Well, because people are not listening to this idiocy anymore.
Oh, everybody, if you still have Netflix, watch Cabinet of Curiosities.
Yes, we're not really going to talk about it, but it's very good.
Guillermo del Toro did it, and it's a bunch of like Lovecraft and similar short stories that they made, like hour-long films out of. Fucking fantastic. And no dumb shit. Just good storytelling.
Yeah. Anyway, this man is an absolute tool. Do not support him. Shame him wherever you see him, please. Don't dogpile on him. We're not calling on that. But if he says something stupid, be sure to shame him. Shame. Yuki Matsuzaki, you're a dumbass. Anyway, that is the news.
That was some news. All right, you want to talk to me about things that you watched that I didn't watch? There's only a couple. Lucifer the Biscuit Hammer. It was basically most of the episode. They're fighting golems in every episode, but it's not really the point of the episode because the story isn't even the point of this entire show. Like, characters are the point of the show.
Yep.
It's like exclusive character building. Like almost nothing else is going on. Anyway, so everybody was kind of like when you become one of those stupid knights.
Those magical beast knights.
Yeah, you get a wish. Like, that's your reward. Like, they grant you a wish. So Yuhi, like, he hated his grandfather, but then, like, his grandfather got really sick, and he went through this, like, kind of existential crisis, and he was like, I can't be an asshole, and he used his, like, wish to cure his grandfather. But his grandfather was super grateful and kind of like saved their relationship.
Yep.
But he doesn't tell anybody about it. But then that one, like the Owl Knight, who's like secretly working for Animus.
Yep.
Like they were just everybody was randomly talking about what their wishes were, and like he doesn't tell anybody, but he told this kid for some reason. And, like, that kid got shamed super hard because he's like, oh, man, like, these guys are all not assholes, and I'm a total asshole.
Yeah.
And that was most of the episode. They're just trying to, like, the newest golem is, like, a zillion little golems, and if you don't defeat every single one at once, they, like, replenish.
Oh, that seems annoying.
So you got to whack-a-mole every time.
That's Replicators, what I ever saw.
Yeah, and that's basically the whole episode. More or less. I mean, watch it. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I don't want to give away too much. And
Shinobi no Itoki. I think was the other
Itoki
thing.
no Shinobi.
Or whatever.
Or the opposite.
Whatever the order is.
That was okay. Basically, he's in ninja school. He has to take a test in ninja school. And the Koga clan try to kill him. And, like, it turns out that, like, half of his running crew are working for the Koga and, like, totally betraying him. Like one
sounds ninja-like.
One definitely is, and there's it's heavily implied that the other one is, but it might just be a red herring. Not sure. I'm kind of glad they don't spell it out too much because it makes the show more interesting. Anyway,
yeah, new little mystery.
Yeah. Anyway, I still enjoy it. Like I said, it's one of those 12-episode kind of like throwaway shows, but it's actually really good.
All right.
I am entertained.
All right. So we're hitting that kind of, and I can see it in some of the shows. We're for some of them, we were hitting that kind of mid-season, like things are just kind of carrying on.
Yeah, like you'll get a bunch of character
mid-series.
building, and then you'll hit like 8 or 9. Shit'll start to ramp up.
Yep.
I mean, his uncle's awesome. Remember I mentioned like a couple episodes ago, like his uncle is like, like all the other ninjas know him because he's like such a he's the classic lazy dumbass that's actually a super killer archetype.
Yeah.
But he's like some woman, because they're investigating what actually happened to the Koga clan's leader, because they think Iga killed him, but they don't know who. So this would like there's some, I don't know, they have like fucking ninja like internal police force that like polices these things because the clans are supposed to fight. You know what I mean? It's like it's forbidden. So anyway, before war breaks out, so the head guy like assigns this chick who like just started to like follow what's his face's uncle around, and he totally like knows, I mean he obviously knows she's following him because she's like really bad at her job, but he keeps luring her to like places that he wants her to see stuff. So she's kind of like starts putting stuff together.
That's a bit of a classic trope. I've seen that done before.
It's a good trope though. I liked it.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's pretty much it for that episode.
That's a good spin. All right, so let's talk about Urusei Yatsura since we just watched it.
Oh, hilarious.
Just another completely wacky episode.
I think they kind of have no real point except to entertain me.
You got the other alien princess. A lot of alien princesses in the show.
Oh, hell yeah.
With her crow followers, her crow minions, her crow subjects.
Why is she a human? Like, why is she humanoid?
They explain that. Like, they don't have a lot of humanoids, but she came from off-planet.
Oh, she came from off-planet. Okay,
yeah, she came from off their planet.
That makes sense.
And so they had to go to... That's why they had to come to Earth to find her a mate because, like, the guy who started the whole thing was a talking crow with a talking crow woman,
Yeah.
So that's just the tradition. It's just she somehow... I don't know why, just because she crashed from off-world, she's the princess. That part I don't quite get, but...
No idea.
Don't matter. Maybe because she's the biggest. Maybe it works that way. Maybe she's like the tallest. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
So, of course, the first one to kiss her gets...
they have a long-standing tradition that, like, the first one to, like, awaken her with a kiss gets to marry
must have
her.
Immediate congregations.
Yeah, they have
make lots of babies.
Yeah.
Marry her. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
So, Mendo's, like, building up Shutaro, Mendo, whatever you want to call him. First or last name. He's just building up the courage. I'm going to do it. And, of course, Ataru breaks free and freaking kisses her first.
Even though Lum's got him, like, tied up.
And she is very unamused. And then the whole episode is just dealing with that, where, like, of course she doesn't find out till near the end that she's obsessed with Shutaro. She's like, oh, he's so hot. He's the hottest. And Ataru is just, what's this dumbass? Get him away from me.
Right.
And, of course, Lum is unamused.
Yeah.
And that's basically the episode. It just shenanigans related to that for the entire episode.
Oh, it's so slapsticky funny.
It's just, I love it. The show is just nonsense, and it's fine. It needs to be just
I
nonsense.
miss that. There's not enough of that.
It's entertaining nonsense, and it's great. I love Mendo's. I love the threads. Mendo's like being scared in the dark.
Yeah.
And then she's immediately turned off like, oh, I can't stand wimps like that.
Yeah.
Now that I know, I'm just going to go find whatever freaking shorty I want.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's good stuff. It's still very good. The animation's still great. I got no complaints. Urusei Yatsura
No, it's great.
remake, really good.
I love it. It's a breath of fresh air.
All right.
You don't get that
so,
much.
Mob Psycho.
Mob Psycho's hilarious.
So we're in it looks like it's going to be a 3-episode arc. It could always be 4, but it looks like it's going to be 3. So
Yeah, I think it's going to end.
Mob
next episode.
is entering the giant broccoli, the tree. What is it called? It's like the holy tree or
Yeah, something like that.
whatever the hell it is. It's
Spirit
the
tree.
divine tree.
Divine tree.
That's what it is. The divine tree, which is just a giant broccoli that was left there after their last psychic incident. Why exactly? Not sure yet. There's definitely something going on. There's some hinting at the end of this episode that it's more than what it seems. So Dimple, who's the spirit that's always been around before, is the one.
It's like one of the first things he defeated.
Yeah, he's manipulating all the people in the town. He basically has everybody in thrall in the town except for Mob. So Mob is just like, he's very mad, and his level keeps going up and up because he's like, Dimple, show yourself, like knock it off. And he's just so ridiculously powerful. Like, he gets a bunch of his power sucked away, and he's still ridiculously powerful, and he's still kicking the crap out of Dimple. And doesn't matter what form Dimple takes, he's getting his ass kicked.
And he's not even, I mean, he's still like at 80% at this point. Like, he hasn't even gone.
By the end of the episode, he hits 99, but he hasn't even hit 100 yet.
No,
and
he
the
did at the very end of the
Oh,
episode.
that's right.
he hit 100.
You're correct.
But then they go like
Nothing
black
happened.
screen after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the whole thing, it's Mob Psycho 100. When he hits 100, with his like frustration levels or excitement levels, or it's like everything kind of ticks it up. When he hits 100, like, he just goes damn near Super Saiyan 18 God mode, ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens next episode because he about hit that. But there is some hinting in here, some interesting hinting in here about maybe it's not just Dimple. Maybe there is something going on.
Something else going on.
With that tree. Maybe it took control of Dimple, and yeah, who knows? We'll see with the next episode. But excellent middle of the arc. Basically just Mob in the tree fighting the whole time, but entertaining, and it's good to see Mob, you know. He used to him being kind of a dopey kid, but man, when he gets serious, he gets serious.
Yeah, that whole like last season was about him not wanting to do shit. And now
Yep.
he's just like, man, fuck you.
That's very much a one thing, right? Because freaking Saitama
Oh,
operates kind of the
never
same way.
wants to do anything.
He's so flippant and silly until he's serious, and like, oh god, when
And
he
then
gets
it's
serious, he's
on.
serious.
It's happening.
So another excellent episode. Bone's doing great work. Animation's great. No complaints. All right, so we talked about it before. We'll talk about it now. Golden Kamuy. Ridiculous episode. Nothing but dick jokes.
Oh god.
Apparently, every story the Ainu have are related to dicks.
For some reason.
It's ridiculous. Like extending you know, when you're sitting on the shoreline, you know, just stretching your dick.
Yeah, like stretching your dick.
And then it's so long they put laundry on it. And then you steal all the kimonos because you raise it up in the air. And then the second guy that does it gets them cut off because they're onto your business. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. So they have Sugimoto being one guy. And so let me give you the real setup. So they run into a film crew with a cinematograph.
Basically,
yeah, who has an actual super old-timey video camera to take video images,
one of the old
right?
crank ones, you know.
Yeah, and it's a French dude and a Japanese dude, and they've been going around for like 10 years capturing the Ainu, primarily the Ainu. There are other stuff in Japan, but a lot of Ainu footage. So Sherpa wants to tell the stories. Like, I want to, you know, I know there's no sound, but I want to show the stories.
Yeah, so they don't disappear.
So they act them out, and it's just silly. It's everybody who's around, and Sugimoto is one of the dick guys, and I can't remember the other guy's name.
He's always got his pants down.
Always got his pants down. It's ridiculous. Like, it's all silly. It's a great episode, but then it's got some serious stuff in it.
Because it's kind of about how the Ainu are dying out, and she's like one of the last ones with the story.
Yeah, and a Sherpa gets to see, I won't spoil exactly who, but people from her past that she'd never seen before, but because they're on film, because the guy's been going around for so long.
Yeah.
And, she really just wants her traditions to carry on. And she feels that they're not going to be carried on properly because there's just not enough.
Yeah.
Like, even in the early 1900s, the Ainu could feel their way of life was dying. So it's very interesting, and it's just a great show. I have never seen a show so good at going from completely wacky silliness to serious. And a lot of shows do that.
It's not jarring either. It's like it makes sense.
And a lot of shows do that, but they're usually quick cuts, right? Like the silliness is a quick insert. Full Metal Alchemist, right? There's silliness inserts, but like this show will go completely silly in the tone and then go completely serious. And like you said, not jarring. It's actually really well done. So another excellent episode of Golden Kamuy. It feels like it's getting back on the main storyline track. We've been talking about side stories and other stuff the last few episodes.
Like a lot of randos getting episodes.
It seems like they did that as an interlude to kind of catch up on everybody, and now they're kind of
because everybody was like spread out, so it's kind of a good like what is all the random characters up to.
Here's a reminder of what everybody's up to, and it made sense at the beginning of the season to do that too. All right, so Witch from Mercury, Gundam Witch from Mercury, still good. So in this episode, it's really a lot of backstory for Enel. What the heck that guy's name is? So one of the kids at the school
that guy.
I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. There's too many people in frickin' Witch from Mercury. Too many characters. So he's basically like an artificial new type. It's heavily implied that he was either vat grown or artificial insemination or something.
I think he was cloned because he's talking about they all have the
or
same
cloned.
face,
or cloned or built or who knows. It's very strange. They don't really get into that, but
they'll explain something.
As a kid, all the way up, basically to be able to control things like the Gund format, which is what the Gundams are based on.
Yeah, they're basically trying to solve that problem where he can do it without dying.
And he's trying to get close to the Gundam Ariel, to try to figure out, hey, is this to Soletta? Like, is this a Gundam? Is this not a Gundam? He's trying to figure it out, and he thinks he's like, oh, this is a Gundam, but then he's like, but wait a minute, it doesn't have any of the problems that other Gundams have, so I don't get it. But he does the same thing they were doing in the prequel episode where, he sets the permit level higher and it's tearing him up and it makes him more powerful. So he fights a duel with Gul Jaturk. See, his name I can remember because his name is great. So he fights a duel with him, and
I think his name is Elan.
Elan. I knew it was something like that. Elan. I think you're correct. So fights that duel with Gul Jaturk, and one of the stipulations is if he wins, he's going to fight Suletta, and so at the end he sets up the duel to fight Suletta. So that's basically what happens in the episode. It gives you some backstory on him, and it sets you up for the next episode. It gives you a little more stuff for Gul Jaturk. I mean, it makes you more sympathetic towards his character. They're doing a really good job with him.
Because he just keeps getting fucked over all the time.
Yeah, and he's not really that. He's not really evil. So it's very interesting. Still an excellent show.
He's like almost a Jared, but not quite, because Jared was never cool.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell that this is a longer show, right? This is going to be a 48 to 52 episode show.
I would say so. That's how they're pacing it.
You can feel that it's paced in that way, right? So they're donking a little bit, but in a good way. Like they're really.
I like that.
They're laying the bricks. You know what I mean?
Like I like that those shows have meat. They can take their time. Nothing has to be.
They're not wasting time, right? They're establishing characters. They're building things up. They're building up every episode. We don't talk about it much, but they're building up the background corporation stuff.
Yeah,
like Soletta's mom's in this a little bit with that, and Jul's dad. There's a little bit. There's always a little bit. It's feeding you along. So well paced. They're doing a really good job.
Soletta's mom and her ridiculous helmet mullet.
Yeah, in her ridiculous helmet.
Ever.
Anyway, so last, not least, Chainsaw Man. So this resolves kind of the two-parter from last time. I don't think I'd call it a three-parter because that first one kind of wasn't.
Nah.
Where, the last one he killed the Bat Demon, and at the beginning of this one, you see that he indeed did save Power and the cat because the cat's in its cage and doesn't give a shit.
Being fat.
Doesn't really care about anything, honestly. It is very much a cat. And then immediately after killing the Bat Demon, he gets attacked by the Leech Demon, who was apparently the Bat Demon's like special lady. Very creepy looking demon. Weird, just ugh.
Giant titties.
It's just gross. Yeah, but not even like just udders, like
just giant nipples of doom.
The thing's horrible. And it's not really that humanoid shaped either. It's just kind of like
it's like a worm thing.
Worms with like lipstick mouth. Oh god, it's awful. And he has to fight it immediately, and like he gets his arm bit off like immediately, and then he gets
no blood left.
He doesn't have enough blood yet left. So when he chainsaws, he's got like just a little bit of chainsaw sticking out the front of his head.
Yeah, and that's it.
But he's still ridiculously powerful, so he still can get batted around and run around and jump, and he does some damage, but not quite enough. And he's about to get killed, and he gets his ass saved at the last second
by new characters and some old characters.
Yeah, by some of the demon hunters, both new and old, and you get to see some of the powers there, which are cool. With the giant like fox demon that gets summoned. Oh, yeah. Very cool. And then you get a little bit of slice of life stuff where Denji and Power are living back in the apartment with him. And you get to see how horrible fiends really are. Like
some Three's Company action.
Oh god, like don't flush their shit. Just
like, I don't bathe. I
don't bathe. Just disgusting. Like, I don't wash my clothes. Like, oh, you horrible monster.
Yeah. I kinda like they put that in there. You know what I mean? Because that's the kind of crap that like would be very real and very obnoxious.
Very annoying. And it puts Denji on the same side, so because he's not in any of that either. But at the end, he's reformed immediately when he gets the chance to touch some titties. So simp. But I don't know. I still love Denji. Like I love his simple goals. I love how mad he gets at people having
like grandiose ambitions. He's like, don't talk down to my goals.
The little side thing where most of the people were super happy Denji saved them. Like, oh, this guy saved me. There was the one guy who was in the car. Was just like, oh, he told me like I'm useless. I don't care about you, which was funny. But good side stuff. Just it's great. It's just a great show. I mean, I know we're saying that about a lot of these, but there's a really good lineup of stuff this season. So definitely go and check those out. Anyway. Probably time to roll on.
Oh, just as a quick aside,
sure.
My Hero Academia, they're just like savage this season. I mean, they're just killing off characters, like not super main characters, but Jesus Christ, Blood Dumpster.
No.
The tone has shifted to extremely serious.
I will have to catch up at some point. That's a show I've watched like 40, 50 episodes of, but
yeah, I mean, you might as well.
I'm just a bit behind.
Probably just wait until it's all out. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I'm not. It's like Black Clover. I'm not in a hurry. I will catch up eventually.
Oh, you got to play a title Black Clover.
Because I watched like 90-something episodes of Black Clover, so I'll get there. Anyway, let's talk a little bit right now about Inglorious Rex.
Let's do.
So, Inglorious Rex, so it's Indiegogo. So we're talking about more comics, Comicsgate comics. This one from Shane Davis. Worked on Superman. I think the biggest thing he worked on back in the day was Superman. Not back in the day, not that old. He's been around the block, but not.
He's more of a 2000s guy.
Yeah, 2000s guy than a 90s guy, for sure. So he came out with Starlight Cats. I have it. I haven't read it yet. Just because I got it as part of the new campaign. I didn't get it originally.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. Like your first comic out of the gate, and him and his wife, Yanzi Lee, they're both super freaking talented. She does inks and she also does parts of the story, and she does her own art too. But the art here is Shane Davis, and the story is the line art is Shane Davis. The inks are Yanzi. The story is both of them. So anyway, power duo, right? So the first thing comes out of the gate with Starlight Cats. It makes a bunch of money, but it's ridiculous. It's about a little girl with like magic space cats and a magic space cat squad that do work, which is great. I love that the first thing out of the gate was ridiculous.
Fucking chick from Outlaw Star. Remember the two cats? They were each in a spaceship.
Oh yeah, kind of, except a littler girl. But yeah, kind of. I don't know. I gotta read it. So very cool. Definitely based on his own cats, because they got the pictures of him in the end of it. I did flip through. So anyway, the second thing he comes out with is definitely more up everybody's alley. And we'll talk about Starlight Cats at some point. I bet you it's great. But Inglorious Rex. So it's basically, he said it himself, it's what if you took Rocky and smashed it together with Godzilla?
It really is.
That's kind of what it is. I mean, it's a little more the Rex is the monster. So basically, it's some sort of looks like it's the future. Could be an alternate reality. Could be whatever. But it looks like it's just the future. Dystopian style future. Everything's kind of shitty. They keep it pretty
vague.
Yeah, which is good. Holograms and stuff exist, but not like super technology. But
and it's some kind of like it looks like the Earth is just fucked because
spoiler. So spoiler alert, just because that's the big thing at the end, the big reveal at the end. That
I don't really think it was a big reveal.
No, they've been on about it. Oh, we could talk about it. It's just a spoiler alert here. So there is a stinger at the end about the nature of the Earth and how bad it is, or it's wherever they're at.
It's literally one page
and what's going on. I know.
It kind of shows where they're at, basically.
That's very good. So anyway, the Rexes, they're not Godzilla size, they're kaiju size. So if I meant to look up the episode title, but I can't remember it. There was a Love, Death, and Robots episode where there was monsters fighting in an arena that were controlled by people with like brain helmets, right? Like psychically. This is basically the same thing, except you actually have to pilot the damn thing, like
you're
attached to its back.
Yeah, you're like in a little cockpit stuck to its back.
Yep. And you can pilot it remotely, but it's tethered, so like you couldn't do the fight that way, so you have to be tethered onto the back.
Like on it.
But when they spar and when they're training and stuff, they, you could be on a platform nearby. You don't have to be on the back.
Yeah.
Anyway. And they're just mutant monsters of various types. They're not all the same.
It's made from your genetic, like the pilot's genetic material, which is creepy.
Yes.
Because it's like really hard for someone else to pilot.
It's cloned from your genetic material, yes. And you can't really pilot. So, yeah, you can't really pilot a Rex that's not yours because it's not cloned from your genetic material. So, anyway, different styles, like big bruisers, quick littler ones, like, different styles. So the story starts off.
I think UFC 1 through 4.
with God, I'm forgetting her name, but the main female character. Jesus. See, I'm already
Iona?
I can't remember that many names at once. Regardless, she's like going to be she's going to get a shot at the number 1 Rex, which is Rune. That I remember.
Yes.
She's going to get a title shot. Like there's a little fight she has, or a little fight. It's like, basically the pre-title fight or whatever. And now she's got such a good record.
At the beginning of the book.
Oh, she's got a ridiculous name. Anyway, gonna go fight Rune, which is the champion. Now, Rune has become the champion because he defeated Rex. He's got numbers, but the main
238.
238. The main character's Rex from years ago, and his brother got killed in that fight because Rune punched the damn cockpit.
Which is very frowned upon.
Ended up killing him. So the fight's controversial. But the kind of Don King of this whole underground arena makes a deal it was Nate, right? Nate was the brother who got killed.
Yeah.
Makes a deal to his brother and says, hey, I will give you that title fight, but you have to use Rex. Which now Rex is like old and barely used and kind of put out to pasture because the brother's dead and can't really fight. But, maybe brother's compatible enough, genetics are close enough, he can fight. And it goes from there, right? Like, I don't want to say too much because there's not a lot that goes on and you'll spoil a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
but
You can't really get too much into it.
A lot of it is just the fight. It's that title fight. And, the main character and the woman who's going to get the title fight, they're lovers too, right? So there's a whole other dynamic there that he kind of steals her opportunity away, and there's a lot going on, right?
There is a lot going on.
A lot going on in subtext, but not like complicated. It's very well set up. So art is great, coloring is great. Like the art's better than great. The art's phenomenal.
It's really,
right?
really nice.
Very, very nice art. The comic itself, the stock and all that stuff is just, it's fantastic. Like, you should go buy it.
You get what
right?
you pay for. You know what I mean? Like, it's not super expensive, but like those boutique comics, like you really get nice.
It's a cool setup with a cool stinger for even bigger world, and then half of it's just a giant monster fight, basically.
Yeah.
And that's, that is worth the price of admission.
And like that
alone.
last page basically opens it up for like, a ton more stuff. So,
yeah. And the second campaign's already out there. It's already open. You can go check that out too. You can actually back the first one as part of that one and get it at the normal price, which I think was only like $25.
Oh, I love when they do that because I read your copy and then I buy the new one and get the old one.
Yeah, but if you buy it on that, you got to wait till the new one comes out because it's going to be a reprint. There are copies of it available on his web shop, but they're marked up because they're marked up.
Because you should have bought it.
Because people who backed it during the crowdfunding get the discount.
It's a gamble. It's the gambling discount.
Yeah, so we talk often about Comicsgate stuff. We talk often about how there aren't good writers. The writing in this is very good.
Yeah. Now, the last couple I've read have been actually really good.
Yeah, very succinct, very good.
That's good. It's nice to see them up their game.
And again, it's cool to see another comic that isn't just another superhero comic. And that's okay. Rippa's doing superhero stuff. I think he's got a good take on it.
No, but that was
I think
his
it's good.
thing.
And that's
he
his thing.
Specifically wanted to unfuck Cape stuff, so more power to him.
And it's fine, right? But everybody's not everybody's doing superhero stuff. It's good to see people doing all sorts of different shit. I love that.
Image style, Image's heyday where it was all crazy stuff. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's the golden age of comics. Well, not technically, it's what the Bronze Age or whatever. But I don't know,
it's
whatever
my
age
golden
is.
age of comics.
But it's like the 60s and 70s when there's horror comics and there's Conan's big and all that kind of stuff. Like that's what I want. Like I want all kinds of different pulp stories in comics, and this is an excellent pulp story.
Yeah, it really is.
And it's well told, and it's in a pretty package,
and it's for a modern audience
in the right way.
In the right way.
Because
it's for an actual audience of today. It's subject matter that is relevant to my interests.
Yeah, so it's cool. I mean, again, Godzilla, maybe more Ava. He probably didn't say Ava, though he knows about Ava.
Oh yeah, he's a super weeb.
Oh, he's got a giant Ava helmet behind him when he live streams. Just very cool.
It's
very good
anime,
matchup.
It's very
with Rocky
adjacent too. Like the whole thing is. It's just that style.
Oh, it's freaking. It's a great style, right? Alex. So Alex is the brother. See, I'm getting names now, so I can freaking remember who the hell these people are. And what the hell was her name? It was Razor was her beast.
Oh wait, shit! I just thought of it.
I remember her name.
It's like a play on words.
Anatomic.
Yes.
It was a great name. I'm sad I forgot it right off the bat.
Yeah,
it's a
I knew
great
it was
name.
like a play on words. I just couldn't.
Sorry, I had too many Japanese names stuffed in my head. It pushed that one out.
I cannot squeeze it out of my sad brain.
Great designs too, like just classic comic book. The detail, I'm just looking at it now. Like I can't say enough good things about it. Go back. The second campaign just opened up 4 days ago, and it's already $123,000. Like,
I have to remember it back.
The first one made like $300. Like, the money's worth it. And don't think, if you're one of those people out there, money. That person is not making. Shay Davis is not, and Yanzi are not making $300,000. Like,
nah.
The printing and everything cost a fortune for these things. I love that. That was one thing I love that Rippa did. He was 100%. And I don't think anybody should have to do this, but 100% like committed to being transparent about what shit costs. Like, no. Printing costs like $800,000. This costs this costs that. Like,
yeah.
Fair enough, right? Like, that shit's expensive. Like, I'm not saying that people going broke and guys like him get royalty checks still from DC for characters they created and stuff like that. But I mean, it's worth it. And two, it's worth it. So just do it.
Pretty much.
Just go buy it, goddammit. And we'll continue to talk about Comicsgate stuff every now and again. Animation adjacent, I would say. Just because they're putting out some of the better comics nowadays. We'll talk about comics in general that are good. Like James Stocco ever wants to come out with another comic. Bet you it'll be good.
Oh yeah,
and I'll be all over
those
it.
Those are super good.
I love that guy. Anyway,
that was such a weird take on Godzilla.
Yeah, the Half-Century War, so cool.
Yeah, man, that was really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I like his art style too.
Oh, great, and he does art and the story, much like Shane Davis or I don't know. A lot of the Comicsgate guys are doing that now.
Yep.
All right.
Let's talk about that wretched fucking movie.
Let's talk about it. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I never let down.
It's almost like I want to blather on about anything else for as long as possible because I don't want to talk about it.
I'm not going to say I've never been let down that hard before, but never so out of the blue.
Yeah.
Usually I knew it was coming.
So, Royal Space Force, the Wings of Honneamise. So, it starts out so promising. The animation is gorgeous.
I think that's why everybody touts it so highly, is because it's one of the most attractive things I've ever seen.
It's very pretty. It's 1987, so it's up there with like Akira or Do You Remember Love?
Yeah, and the Blu-ray,
or Pat Labor.
like the Blu-ray transfer looks fucking fantastic.
It looks great. It looks really good. So anyway, it's directed by Hiroyuki Yamaga.
Shame on you.
He's a founding member of Gainax. This is a Gainax.
Yeah, it's like OG Gainax, which
OG
is why
Gainax.
I don't know. I should have known better. But.
So he was a writer on Gunbuster. He was a writer on War in the Pocket. Writer on Otaka no Video. He hasn't directed a ton of other stuff. He did direct Magical Shopping Arcade Abenabashi, which is kind of cool.
That's funny.
But, he's got a good track record of stuff. This to me is what happens when you let an artist go with no, like, this is like when you let George Lucas go. Like, when you let an artist go without enough input from other people to be like, dude, I'm not so sure about this.
This guy needed a leash, man. A tight leash.
And everybody loves it. And, I think a lot of people love it for the world building, for the look of it. So the aesthetic is on point. Like,
yeah, it's fantastic.
You start thinking out of maybe alternate history, but it's not really. It's like a completely alternate Earth.
Yeah, it's like it's very like steampunky, but not over the top.
It's like a mid 50s Earth.
Yeah,
but
think like Space Race, like us
yes,
versus the Russians.
Cold War Space Race, but everything looks different. Everything's kind of wacky. The names are crazy.
It's steampunky, but not really, because there's no steam. It's just like some of the mechanical drawings are some of the best.
Oh,
I've
it's
ever
phenomenal,
seen.
right? Yeah, it's all traditional. Like the rocket engines use liquid fuel, and like it's nothing wacky in that regard. Like all the mechanics are pretty standard, but all the designs just look cool.
Yeah, like they have ridiculous like fucking.
The props, like the whole prop
like
thing,
Napoleonic, like
the uniforms and like the props on the planes being like on a different pod and with the kind of rotating props. It just looks really cool. So, what the hell is Wings of Honneamise about? Essentially,
God knows.
It is about it's about getting to space, right?
Yeah.
And what that does. I mean, the one theme I can pull out of it is that the world is kind of a stagnant, crappy place. People aren't really thinking ahead. They're caught in some type of Cold War. People are impoverished all over the place.
It's like the whole world is in a Cold War, and that's all anybody cares about. And meanwhile, everybody's lives
and some hot wars,
suck. Yeah.
and people's lives suck. And there's the haves and the have-nots. And there's a lot of that going on. And then there's probably some influence from post-war Japan going on here. And then the space race. You can see it at the end, like them getting a rocket launched is huge. Like everybody stops fighting and just stares at it like, oh my God.
Yeah,
like,
they actually pulled it off.
It's actually a thing, right? So there's something to be said for that. But here are the problems. So first off, the characters. So the main character, Shirotsugi Ladat, is not very likable at all.
He's just an annoying, lazy knob.
He's kind of a lazy knob. He's boring. He gets a little rapey at one point for no reason that I can discern.
Yeah, I have no fucking idea where that came from.
And he's the least cardboard cutout character, but he's still a cardboard cutout.
Yeah, just they didn't bother making any of the characters interesting at all.
They didn't give him interesting quirks. Like, they did a bad job
They're just
with
so
that.
wooden and you just can't get into them because none of them make any sense or have any kind of interesting personalities or
Yeah, so speaking of not interesting personalities, the B plot here is kind of the love story,
I guess.
not love, because it's certainly one-sided, between Rikini, who's like a religious fanatic.
Yeah, he like randomly runs into this religious fanatic chick that's just like, I don't even is
maybe fanatic's not the right word. She's just a super fundamentalist.
But of what religion? Like, I don't even know what she was getting at.
I don't.
There was never
the tenets of the religion do not make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, like I have no fucking idea what she was talking about. But she handed out flyers, and then he like goes to her house at some point because the flyer has her address or whatever on it.
Yep.
And she's just taking care of some random feral girl.
Yeah, which I don't know. They don't really flesh out what happened there. They hint at it. Like,
at all.
Is that her daughter? Is that her sister? Is that just some girl she picked up? It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I have no fucking idea.
It's hard to tell.
But then all of a sudden he has dinner with her one time, and then instead of being a schlub, he's like all hard to go to space for no reason. Just
Well,
this instantaneous, complete character.
So
change.
he was in the Space Force before because the space, like he wanted to be in the Air Force. He
wanted
wanted
be
to
a
fly
fighter
planes,
pilot, but he sucks.
but his test scores sucked and he's lazy. So he went to the Space Force because like, okay, well at least I can kind of do something there.
Well, you got to remember too, like in this world, they've never been to space. No one else is even thinking
The
about
last
going to
launch, it
space.
starts off in like the last launch. They don't really address this too much, but the last launch they did kill somebody.
Yeah, so
A
it's
member of their
like
team.
it's not like now where people actually go to space and like.
It's not like I want to go to the moon, but
Yeah.
we've had people in space before. No.
But like the government isn't even sinking a ton of money into it. It's just kind of like this joke thing. It's like, oh, you're in the Space Force. No one's even fucking heard.
Yeah, they kind of keep it
Like
shunneling
the
along.
average civilian is like, oh, going to space is ridiculous. What are you returning?
And there's like a private space explorers society of old men that have been developing rockets and shit for 20 years that are contracted to with the government, but also put their own money into it.
Yeah, because the government doesn't really
Doesn't fund them
much of
enough.
shit. They're more interested in like the Cold War.
And yeah, everybody's just like, what good is this going to do? So they call it a space warship just to get funding. Like, there's a lot of interest. Again, the world building is great. There's a lot of neat, interesting things. You do learn a lot about what the republic they live in is and how it works and kind of the rot that's going on with the politicians and with the populace. Like, all that makes sense. The problem is all the characters are boring. Like the doctor, so the main doctor character dies randomly, and scientist doctor, right? Not medical doctor. And you're like, okay, who cares? Like, you just don't care.
Yeah, it's like, well,
you should care. Whatever they did, it doesn't make you care. You just don't care at all. Then you get that weird Urusei never really gets redeemed. He's never redeemable. I mean, the only exciting scene in the whole thing, really, I suppose at the end there's some fighter jet fights, well, not jets, I don't know, prop planes,
Yeah.
but there's some plane fights, some dog fights. But other than that, it's that one like chase scene with the dude trying to assassinate him.
Yeah, they like try to assassinate him because like they're launching the rocket like right next to like the DMZ. Basically.
Yeah, between the other country's border. So I mean, I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it. And three of us watched it. You listen to two of us now, but three of us watched it. Other four watched it too, and none of us were like, I don't get it. Like,
yeah, like halfway through, I was so fucking bored. I'm just like, is this piece of shit?
and it's
ever
2
gonna
hours
end?
long. And look, I don't mind a slow burn. Jinro is fantastic. Jinro is a slow burn. Not a lot happens in Jinro. The Pat Labor movies, not a lot happens in them. The first two movies, they're great. They're great movies. They're paced well enough, and just enough happens to make it good.
And there's like some intrigue.
There's some intrigue, and there's interesting characters.
Yeah, this has none of that. There's no intrigue, no interesting characters, no real. I mean, there's a plot, and it makes sense, but there's no story. Is the best way I can put it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he keeps going to visit this chick, and they keep trying to develop some kind of love story, but it just is never really there. Like, they don't get intertwined in any way. He just kind of, like, shows up at her house. And at one point, he, like, out of the blue, for no reason, he just gets rapey and, like, jumps on her just so they could have a random, like, topless scene. And then he, like, freaks out and runs away. And then she apologizes to him later, like it's her fault.
It's all very
And
weird.
it's just like, what the fuck? Like, it's just, but there's no motivations for any of this shit.
No.
And it's just, and then they've bulldozed her house at some point.
Yep.
She like hasn't been paying the bills and didn't know there was bills.
It doesn't.
And then
make
like
any
he
sense.
doesn't even help her out in any way or do anything. He like runs there to try to stop it, but he can't do anything. It's like bulldozed by the time he gets there.
It's not like he takes him in. It's not like he gives him money.
No,
even though he's got a bunch of money.
They're just like, yeah, he doesn't give her shit. And they're just like, we're going to go live at this church now. And then at the end, she has drops a bunch of money for some reason. Like, where'd she get the money?
He dropped the money. That was his money.
Oh, was it his money?
Yeah, that was his money.
Because I was already zoning out at that point.
That was his money. Because he's always dropping money all over the place because he doesn't care. Because he's got a ton of money. But I get that there's a message in there.
Oh,
and I see what the message is.
No, but there's that whole
Don't care.
There's that whole kind of subplot where he gets super famous for being the guy they're going to shoot
Yeah.
in space.
Well, that's kind of the message, right? Like, he gets it. He doesn't care about the money. And he becomes one of the haves, not the have-nots. And he doesn't, you have all the poor people that would like kill each other for one of the freaking coins, and he's got a bunch of them, and she's poor. I get the subtext here. It's just, I don't give a shit. I just don't care.
Yeah,
it's not
like,
interesting
it's just
enough.
all kind of like all this like, it's all these like not tropes. It's all these themes that all would make sense and be great in a show, but they just took every single one of them and jammed them in there. They don't fit together. Like, it's just a fucking disaster.
You could take this world and do a lot of interesting stories. You could take some of the parts of this story and rework it and make it better. You could honestly take this exact story, punch it up with a scene or two, edit it down. Honestly, if it was the same amount of action but was 45 minutes and just a lot of the donking was cut out, that would be a lot better. But then you also have to make the characters not suck. For the love of God, could you make at least a couple likable characters? Because I don't like any of these fucking characters. I just don't care about them.
Yeah, no.
And that's a big problem for me. Like, you got to have characters that are likable. Otherwise,
he's
done.
just never likable. And, like, even when he does, like, he has no, like, they never are clear about his motivations for wanting to go to space. I guess it's just because he's, like, bored doing what he's doing. Or
I don't know. Like, he got inspired by that girl. He's doing it just for the girl. But I don't fucking know, man. It don't make any sense.
Yeah, I have no idea. Anyway, super fucking let down.
Yeah.
So don't watch it.
Yeah. I'm not going to recommend this one. I mean, look, if you want to be like us and say, okay, fine. If everybody on these other lists say it's good, I got to watch it. Or if you want to tell us we're a bunch of idiots and what the fuck
you're
are you thinking about?
100% welcome to like watch it. It's gorgeous to watch. Like, it's
almost
very
worth
pretty. Watching. I'd watch like the first 20 minutes just because it's real pretty. But man, you get to the halfway point. It felt like days. I want to just gouge my fucking eyes.
It's way too fucking long for just the structure of it. And again, without any likable characters. Just no, I'm not in. I am not in. I am all out on Wings of
I
Honneamise.
worked all day. I was fucking tired. I just wanted to be entertained. I didn't want like 2 hours of just like bone shattering fucking boredom.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's pretty much it for this week. So God, I can't even talk anymore. As usual, have a fantastic one, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace. Well, that's all for today, everyone. We'd like to thank all of you for tuning into another episode of the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour. Please remember to like and subscribe, and may your entertainment be always, well, entertaining.